Happy New Year, it's Mazzy here, 2024. What a year this is going to be, boy. This is the Vinyl Tag 2024 every year. This is the perfect time if you are thinking of making videos within this whole vinyl community, Chazarai organization, not even organization, you know what I mean, showing records. Make sure you hashtag Vinyl Community 2024. This is the one. You answer 20 questions. The 20 questions this year, like last year and the year before, were created by Rob Walker from Manchester, United Kingdom. Of course, there's a Manchester question here, but I'm not one that does New Year's resolutions, but I thought, I've been listening to so much music. Literally, I listen to a lot of music, but once in a while you have to get outside and. It wouldn't kill you to get outside once in a while and ride your bike and play with your friends. We all had mothers like that. Well, maybe some of us did. Most of us, a lot of us did. I'll put it that way. So I thought the new year, the beginning of the year, I would get out. So this is the Vinyl Tag 2024. My responses to these 20 questions, and I'm going to do it outside on location. So the first record is one that I showed that was the top of my new release of 2023, and that's Rufus Wainwright's Folkocracy, Family, Friends, some traditional folk songs, one original, beautiful record, songs from Scotland, from the United Kingdom, from America, with some wonderful singers throughout, beautifully recorded record. This is number one, the answer to number one, my favorite record that I purchased in 2023. Next question, the last record you bought. Well, the last record I received, New Year's Eve, from Sam Records out of France, is the Heath Brothers, 1976. The Heath Brothers, great jazz performance in Paris, 1976, from Sam Records, that great, wonderful label. He does one-man shop, does everything himself. Question number 3, a band or an artist who released 2 albums in the same year. Now, we all know back in the day that was a thing. Common for artists to do 2 or 3 albums in a year, into the 60s, 70s, a little less, but still twice a year. Of course, now we're in a different scope. There are exceptions here, but I'm going with the Jefferson Airplane. Their breakout hits, Realistic Pillow, early in 1967, became a Summer of Love anthem, obviously with White Rabbit. This is the first Airplane album. Grace Slick was on the second album of the band, RCA Records. Then towards the end of the year, they do something more esoteric, more out there. I think some of the audience who bought and listened to White Rabbit and Somebody to Love were perplexed by this wonderful album. It's probably considered the most psychedelic, and it's one of the great albums of the San Francisco scene. The Fall of Love, I guess you could call it. Jefferson Airplane's After Bathing at Baxter's. Two Heads, Martha. Those 2 songs are very accessible, but there's a lot of really interesting experimentation on here, psychedelia stuff. Jefferson Airplane, After Bathing at Baxter's. So you got Jefferson Airplane, 2 records in 1967, which was not an uncommon thing. The next question is, if you could only pick one decade of music and have music from what decade, what would it be? Well, of course, for me, it might be generational, for those of you answering this, but I would say definitely in the 1960s. I couldn't go without the Beatles, the Kinks, Dylan, the Byrds, Rolling Stones, Jefferson Airplane, the whole San Francisco psychedelia scene. That would be it. Easy answer, easy question. I could survive. Question number 5, show a band from Manchester, England. That's where Rob Walker is from, who created this list of questions. Well, I'm showing one in the greater Manchester area, Stockport to be exact, and that is the band 10cc. This is their debut on Polygram Mercury Records of the States. They were on London, UK Records before that. Great record, One Night in Paris is on here, this wonderful art rock suite. But of course, Godley and Creme, Kevin Godley, Lol Creme, Eric Stewart, and Graham Goldman, great songwriter in his own right, wrote For Your Love, No Milk Today, 60 songs that Herman's Hermits, the Yardbirds did. But what a great art rock record, cover by Hypnosis. Just love this record. Of course, one of the greatest pop classic songs of all time is I'm Not in Love, multi-layered harmonies. Ironically, the same year as Bohemian Rhapsody. They were kind of very similar, not musically sound-wise, but they were produced all the overlapping number of harmonies and vocals and layers. Just a beautiful record. I go 10cc over Queen, but they're very different. They have a kind of a weird sense of humor, a little different take on things. But number 5, a band from Manchester, England. Number 6, what band or musician did you listen to most in 2023? Well, I'm gonna go with Bob Dylan because even though I'm a big Beatles fan, I listen to a lot of Beatles, but not always. There's so much in Dylan's catalog. Of course, the Beatles only had 11, 12, 13 albums, depending on how you're counting. Dylan's had so many periods, the bootleg series of things. I'm all in on Bob Dylan. So I'd say of all the artists, most years actually, it is Bob Dylan. I go back and forth with the early years, the later years. To me, one of the greatest record makers ever, and of course an iconic figure in popular music and folk music. Love Bob Dylan. Number 6, show 7-inch records, 745s. So I'm gonna do punk, and I'm gonna do American punk, American poetry punk, folk punk, and British UK punk. First, I picked 2 bands only, and the Sex Pistols. These are UK 45s, original UK 45s. God Save the Queen, backed with You Know Wrong by the Sex Pistols. Anarchy in the UK, and I Wanna Be Me. Pretty Vacant, the Sex Pistols, backed with No Fun on Virgin Records, 1977, the Sex Pistols. Then, one more, Holiday in the Sun, Sex Pistols, Satellite, Sex Pistols. Then we got the Patti Smith Group. Now, this was my apartment theme song with my friend Jazz Shit Brooks because of the B-side. We played Gloria, but when we were just feeling all we wanted to blast the stereo, have those JBL L100s, like fuck up the neighbors downstairs. We put the B-side on the live version of My Generation. We don't need that fucking shit talking about my generation. Lenny Kaye, great 45. Still Want to Be a Rock and Roll Star, Patti Smith on Arista Records. Love these singles, all my originals. And Hey Joe and Piss Factory, of course. This is 1977 on Sire Records. This was a special edition. I forgot this was on Sire, and I actually have, looks like I have here 2 copies of Patti Smith. So those are 745s, punk 45s, planes are landing all around me. Question number 8, who's coming to your party? Choose 4 music-related people to come to an imaginary dinner party. Would there be imaginary food? You know, Yoko should be there if it's conceptual, but I'm picking 4, and I'll tell you why. I'm picking John Lennon, Leonard Cohen, Randy Newman, and Patti Smith. Now, Dylan would be interesting, but Dylan is so quiet sometimes. He's kind of weird. I think he's on the spectrum or something. I like Bob Dylan. Randy Newman would be hysterical, and I like to talk politics. So you got John Lennon, who's very political and talking about, music and politics, and he's way over the top. Leonard Cohen's got sort of a calming effect, more a spiritual thing, and not like pushing religion in your face, but I do like the spiritual side of where are we in the world, why are we here, and the sexual side of sexual politics and things. Randy Newman is just hysterical. His political side, his wry sense of humor, and I think Patti Smith would tie it together. And I like the beat poet side of her. There's a certain New York attitude. I know she's not originally from there, but I just like that scene and hearing those stories. I think that would be an interesting group of people to talk to. I'm sure there are many others. In fact, there are many others that I'd love to hang out and speak with. But right now, the mood I'm in right now, those four would be pretty fun. The next question is, we lost them in 2023, an artist, musician who passed away. And to me, the most important one for a lot of reasons is Sinead O'Connor. She was right. And, you know, she got lambasted for being very outspoken, be a woman outspoken for her politics, for her religion. But what a great singer. What a great debut album this is, The Lion and the Cobra. Beautiful Irish music as well, folk music on other albums. Great reggae, even some show tunes. But, you know, what an amazing artist. Shane MacGowan, too, another great Irish artist we lost towards the end of the year. But for this question, I have to go with Sinead O'Connor, one of the most important artists, I think, of our times. Sinead O'Connor. Great records, great figure, a great woman, and to tragedy, her loss. Question number 10. Imagine you could only listen to music from one country. What country would it be? Well, it would have to be England for me. The English invasion, obviously the Beatles, the Kinks, the Stones, Kate Bush, all that wonderful music, punk music, The Clash, Sex Pistols. I mean, just a plethora of English folk music, the folk rock scene, the British folk scene like Pentangle, folk jazz, Fairport Convention. That would be it. Now, of course, that means I would lose Bob Dylan, I would lose the Byrds, I would lose the summer of the Jefferson Airplane, and all the San Francisco psychedelic bands. But I would have to sacrifice. You're going to sacrifice something if you only pick one country. So for me, it would be England. I would pick England. Would that be the whole United Kingdom? Do I get the whole United Kingdom? That would be nice. But England. Can't help it. Question number 11 is, name 3 vinyl community channels you discovered in 2023. 2 of the 3 were friends of mine, and so I'm going to give them a shout out. And they finally jumped in on all this glory of vinyl community making records and their music lovers. I'm going to choose, and not in any particular order, my friend Todd, Lost Mix Tapes. He's in that vein, like my buddy Digital Gramophone, like Chris the Long Cut, where they're into Wilco and Uncle Tupelo and Springsteen and Jason Isbell, but they're in so much more. And Todd, Lost Mixtapes, just finished a great multi-part ranking of REM, and I just like his casual presentation. What's great about 2 of these, I like where people show records and they tell personal stories of how they found the music. So the first one is Lost Mixtapes. Todd, check him out. I'll put links below to these channels. Next is Dr. Robert Bob Hart. He's been a friend of mine only less than 3 years now, and he actually was a spine surgeon, newly retired. He has an amazing collection, and he does videos on repairing records and record cleaning. And the way he labels his records, he's been on my channel before with the Dizzy auctions and other things. So Dr. Bob, Robert Hart, be a link below. And the other one is a live stream and a channel that I know they started before 2023, and I got to know them, but before that in 2022, but I've really got into them more this last year. And I'm going to say, I love you, Jazz Bums, the 3 Jazz Bums, Felipe, Chris, and Mike, who the only one I met in person so far in New York a few months ago at the WFMU record show. I love the Jazz Bums. And what's great about it too is they're learning. They're fairly new, except maybe for Felipe. They've only been into jazz a few years. And it's fun to watch their journey and how deep they are. I mean, I've been buying jazz records for 50 plus years, and I don't know the details, what they know, but I do want to give a shout out to the Jazz Bums. There's plenty of others. There's a lot of others I like, which I may mention at other times in other videos. But those 3, since I'm going to limit myself to 3, those are other vinyl community channels. Check them out below. Question number 12. Show a record you bought as a teenager. Jesus Christ, that'd be showing hundreds of records. We're near an airport. We're near two airports, Boeing Field and SeaTac. Show a record you bought as a teenager. I wanted to show something a little esoteric that I bought in 1968, strictly because of the cover. This is my original cover, torn. This is the United States of America, the original American Columbia Records, the avant-garde psychedelic electronic group led by Joseph Byrd and Dorothy Markowitz. Obviously, he would put another record out a few years later, the Field Hippies. He actually produced, co-produced and arranged Ry Cooder's jazz album. And can I get this out now? I'm not sure if I can out here under the freeway, under the freeway overpass. I'm doing a lot for this vinyl tag. You know this cover. Sundays did a cool reissue of the mono version. This is a friggin' great record. And I remember I played this record a lot. This was produced by David Rubinson, who would eventually moved to the Bay Area, produced Santana, the Pointer Sisters. So he was mainly a Columbia staff producer, went on his own, bought Columbia Studios in San Francisco. It became the Automat, did a lot of great records. And Fred Katera engineered a lot of them. But this is an amazing album. There's a lot of layers on it, a lot of stuff going on. And as a 14-year-old, Jesus Christ. The next question is, show a soul or funk record. I'm going with soul. I'm going literally with the man who invented soul. I'm going with the great Sam Cooke. What a fantastic record, Nightbeat. He comes from the gospel side, did a series of secular records and gospel records. What a voice. To me, one of the most beautiful, soulful voices ever from any genre. So this is Sam Cooke's. This is a Nightbeat, Mr. Soul. God, what a fantastic record. Now we're on to a two-parter. Show a record you think everybody has, and show a record you think nobody has. Now, I'm sure somebody has the second I'm going to show, and I bet you there's people that don't have the first one I show, but I think everyone should definitely have Sticky Fingers by the Rolling Stones with this great Andy Warhol zipper cover, and pull down the zipper, open the flap, and see the bump of actor, provocateur Joe D'Alessandro on here. Sticky Fingers, what a great record. And then I'm going to say no one has this, but I'm sure somebody out there has it. And this is still in shrink, a Kmart price of $3.33, and it's Wayne Newton now with the great hit Dankeschön. 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 Next one, the next question is about a record you bought by a female artist. They don't ask you if you bought a male artist. I mean, so it's too bad. But if you like the music, you like the music. I showcase this. This is Jenny Lewis's new album. She used to be in Rilo Kiley. I saw her this year. I've seen her several times. This is very reminiscent of a 70s record, very soulful, very country, a mix of LA and Nashville. She lives back in Nashville now. She has really smart, biting lyrics, really humorous, but not politically humorous like a Randy Newman say. But I love Jenny Lewis. This is a wonderful record. This is called Joy Y'all by Jenny Lewis this year. Just one of many female artists I bought. A lot of air traffic around today. Question number 16 is the favorite video you created, which means me, because I'm answering these questions. The favorite video, hands down, is the one I did, and it didn't get as many views as a lot of other videos I do that are more, not controversial, but maybe clickbait advertising or thumbnails or something. But it's definitely Beck and Bjork, 30 years of adventurous pop music. I think that these two artists are the most adventurous, creative pop artists of the last 25, 30 years, definitely. And I'm talking about the blend of commercialism, accessibility, and experimental, and they rarely repeat themselves specifically. Of course, Bjork comes from the Sugar Cubes out of Iceland and does sort of a electronic post-punk, mixes in with a lot of ethereal ambient music and beats, and a lot of electronics and soundscapes, and just very experimental, works with a lot of wonderful collaborators. And I think she is just one of the greatest artists, going and still going strong. And then Beck, of course, this is Mutations. This is his record. Again, this is interesting because this one, it has this reminiscent of like late 60s Kinks and early 70s David Bowie, of that folk British. She almost sounds British in a way, with some folky country songs mixed in here. Love this record. But of course, he's worked with the Dust Brothers. He's done, psychedelic folk country music. He's done dance music and funky music. I mean, Midnight Vultures, as I said many times, and I'm repeating myself, but it's the best Prince record Prince never made, which needs a vinyl reissue ASAP as far as I'm concerned. But Beck, to me, and Bjork are the two consistently interesting commercial crossover, avant-garde maybe, or at least adventurous. They're not avant-garde, but they're adventurous pop artists. Very accessible, but you have to follow the trail. And I like when an artist really does change up their sound, doesn't just repeat themselves every single time. So Beck and Bjork. And the second part, the favorite video I've watched in 2023. I think it's not any one video. I really enjoy the streams where I've met some people, where you have a one-on-one, whether it's Rachel's Ghost, whether it's Dom seeking a thread to some stream, whether it is the Metal Theologian, just a hangout with him, whether it's the Jazz Bums on Friday night, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, where it's PB Thal who does his hangouts several times a week. I just like the ideas of a live stream. I participate sometimes on them. Sometimes I'm just listening and put it on like you're having the radio in the background. Stunty on Friday, Stunt Rock Confusion, has a stream where he actually plays a lot of experimental music, ambient music, noise music, industrial music. And not that I like every single thing, but it's adventurous music that I'm interested in listening to, and some of it I do check out. So I love that. I love listening and participating and experiencing the live streams and that accessibility. And sometimes you're in the gallery and you're just typing your comments, and there's other people, like-minded people. Yeah, there's tweakers once in a while. George Borden's another one. He did his 24-hour. God, how can I forget George Borden? And I met George in San Francisco a few months ago. So I would say my favorites are the various live streams. Not any one video someone created that I can think off the top of my head. Okay, Georgetown is the oldest neighborhood in Seattle. Not like the Georgetown on the East Coast, Virginia, wherever it is. This is the Seattle version, 10 minutes from where I live. The next question is an album from the 1990s, a classic, a great record. This might be my favorite record from the 1990s. Automatic for the People from 1992. Obviously, there's a sound, a mood to this one, the acoustic, the mandolins, well, not the mandolins, well, a lot of great acoustic, a lot of noise today. As I've said many times, I can't get away from that, but what a great cover. The cover was co-created by Michael Stipe and our friend Tom Rajan when he was at Warner Brothers Records. So I just love this record. Every song is a killer on this. Everybody Hurts, one of the most beautiful songs on that they've ever done. But I would say Night Swimming, the piano on that is a gem. Night Swimming is the secret sauce on this album. That is so beautiful. But Man on the Moon, of course, they even made like a movie they called the Andy Kaufman bio, Man on the Moon. Star Me Kitten, Fuck Me Kitten. There's a version, I think there's a version of that by, William Burroughs? Is that with Laurie Anderson? I'm getting all confused right now, but what a classic. Great 1992 record, 90s record. REM, Athens, Georgia. Great friggin' band. Whoa. This is a good question. This is the only question I think that's good, Rob Walker. Sorry, I think the other ones are all redundant and every year. This is the best question of this video. Sorry, but I'm going to be honest with you, okay? I think we need some new blood on this, but some new interesting questions. If you could walk into an album cover of your choice, an album that you have in your collection, in real life, make it a real scene, what album cover? What a great question this is. And I knew exactly right away which one I would do. What Julie wants, Julie gets. Julie London, look at that. First of all, she's got this, now I don't like, they had to kill how many minks to make that mink coat, but first of all, I love her voice. Great music, great kind of sexy, jazzy, cocktail loungy music. Great series of records on Liberty Records. Of course, she got all this money around. Now, I'm not a money hunk. I mean, she's got a tiara and a champagne, and that's pretty sweet. That is friggin' pretty sweet. So, no question, I would rather be here than walking across Abbey Road with the four Fab Fours, or anywhere else I can't imagine almost any other cover off the top of my head right now. So right away, I gravitated to Julie London. I would be in this scene with Julie. And what Julie wants, Julie gets. Next question is, show a record that plays like a greatest hits record. Basically a record that you love. Maybe you love every single track. It's not a greatest hits, but to you, it's like a greatest hits. And I'm gonna shout out Hounds of Love, Kate Bush, 1976, is it? I'm sorry, 1985. I was way off on that one. But love this record. I mean, every song to me is great. The Sweets on side 2, the Running Up That Hill, Cloud Busting, Big Sky, Mother Stands for Comfort. Beautiful songs. It flows. It is like a greatest hits record. Kate Bush from 1985. Great record. And the last question from the 2024 vinyl tag is, show a record from 1974, which is 50 years ago. I can't believe I got this record 50 years ago. It might be my favorite album in 1974. If not, it's one of them. And it was a posthumous release that came out not long after he died. And that's Grievous Angel by Graham Parsons with Emmylou Harris. Perfect record, opens up, very sentimental record for me for a lot of reasons. But Grievous Angel, a great country rock album. I'd say this is a perfect record. There's honky tonk, there's Louvin Brothers type songs. Obviously a participant who worked with the Byrds on Sweetheart of the Rodeo in 1968, and then the Flying Burrito Brothers. But Reprise Records, Grievous Angel, Warner Brothers Records, or Reprise Records, I guess, with Emmylou Harris from 1974. Thank you for watching the 2024 vinyl tag on location in Seattle. Mazzy loves you. See you next time.